No ifs, no buts. Free Chara, free Palestine, free Sudan, free Congo, free the oppressed peoples of this world. Now, obviously, there's this witch hunt against Kneecap, of which Chara had been found showing the flag of a prescribed group. Not the fact that he's actually, advocated for anything terroristic or anything extremist, just his overall and the philosophy of Kneecap in general, and any true activists in understanding that oppressed people need their justice. There's no justice. There's no peace without justice, and the more you try and prolong an oppressive peace, the more justice, the need for justice, will be there. Now, I'm not going to self-incriminate myself because, of course, our system is so fucked up that they will lock you up for whatever reason. And I want to continue doing these videos, and the system is so shit that if I were to risk incrimination, it would be for something more meaningful rather than something petty, which Keir Starmer would lock you up for, or at least threaten you with criminal prosecution, like arresting hundreds of people, if not thousands of people, supporting Palestine action. And it's just the state of our affairs right now. These people are desperate to placate to the right wing, to also placate to nationalistic sensibilities, meanwhile doing the bidding, bending over backwards for Israel, for the Israel lobby groups, Israel lobby billionaires and millionaires. So we need to really push forward for, Kneecap isn't just, it's not just that, they make excellent music, really, it's not just that I believe in their values. I actually love their music. It's well made. It's got all the hallmarks of truly evergreen music, music that actually has a long staying power because it's got the real tune, melody, rap. It's got an element of it's even more it's more like, in some respects, like heavy metal than a lot of rap there that is out there, because it actually has energy to it, real energy that is often lacking in what I find in modern day rap. Notwithstanding people like Kendrick Lamar, people who are actually gifted artists, but there is a lot of rap which is just mumble crap. And this is not only rap, but it's also rap in a native tongue. Now there's a strong, and there's a very important reason why Kneecap are so passionate about Palestinian rights, because of Irish history. But the oppression of the Irish is now being reflected in the colonialism of the Palestinians. Of course, back in the day, the oppression of the Irish and the colonialism, which lasted about 790 years, was not aided and abetted by another power. In addition to the UK, it was largely the UK, so-called United Kingdom, and it wasn't done by a power that had advanced military capabilities. It just through sheer military strength, they were able to and also the fact that most Irish people were for the most part they're peasants, or they were people who were uprooted from their land and given over to Protestants. And these weren't warring people to begin with. So they were exploited for hundreds of years based on a pretext of religious differences and a desire to have a complete subservient state to the British Crown. And what we're seeing in Gaza is a colonialist entity in the form of Israel, Zionist entity, which is from the ground up, it's a form of racism. Zionism is racism in a nutshell. You cannot be an anti-racist and a Zionist at the same time, just as you cannot be a National Socialist, a Nazi, and a human rights defender. It makes no sense. And Zionism is... Oh, that's interesting. I hear a scowling cat in the background. Anyways, so I went to the solidarity protest to support Mo Chara in front of the Westminster magistrate, and so I had it was like, it's hundreds of people there. I would say about 1,000, 2,000 people there, and this was on a 9 a.m. on a work day, no less. And I know that a lot of these people were working, but they took the time out of their work in order to support a cause that wasn't very important, which is the freedom of expression of Kneecap. Now, what's also very important is that the reason for which Mo Chara is being prosecuted in showing the flag of a proscribed group is ridiculous. Not only is he not advocating for any kind of terrorism, in the same that Palestine Action are not advocating for any terrorism, but when we look at the radical movements of the Middle East, we are seeing that they only arise. All fundamentalism that I've studied has arisen in response to human rights violations by Western or Western-backed entities. It's remarkable how common this is. You wouldn't have the Islamic Republic of Iran if it wasn't for the coup of Mohammad Mossadegh in 1953, leading to a Western-backed Shah who was overthrown by the people in the Islamic Revolution. You wouldn't have the Taliban if it wasn't for the Mujahideen, who were supported and backed by the CIA and the US in their fight against the Soviet Russians. You wouldn't have ISIS if it wasn't for the illegal invasion of Iraq. You wouldn't have Hezbollah if it wasn't for the Sabra and Shatila massacre of 1982. You wouldn't have Hamas if it wasn't for the illegal occupation of Gaza. I mean, it's remarkable how ubiquitous and how easily the Western propaganda model forgets the context. When the time, the clock only starts, which ironically there's a clock there which is stopped. Clock starts at the time that's convenient to the powers that be, to the oppressive powers, and the context and the reason why it occurs is not relevant. And this is the issue for for the criminalization, dehumanization of the people who are resisting their own oppression. And if the shoe was on the other foot, these people would understand completely why people would resist. In fact, Zaiv Vladimir Jabotinsky, 1920s, before the state of Israel was formed, he literally said that the indigenous people of Palestine will resist as long as there's a chance of ridding itself from the colonizers, which he knows is the Zionists. So they know it. They know it instinctively. They know it. And so they know that resistance is inevitable and moral in their, in the eyes of the so-called other. But because they consider the so-called other inferior, they do not give them the due process, the plausible deniability, the benefit of the doubt. They're constantly going to dehumanize them, and that's how they conclude that we must get rid of the so-called opposition. I do not condone actions by individual resistance groups, but individual resistance groups rise in response to events of dehumanization and gross human rights violation, in addition to a lack of justice. Those two are the the kind of elemental foundational stones of why resistance occurs in the first place. I may not agree with individual actions, but it is understandable how they occur in the first place. Anyways, free Chara, free Palestine, free the oppressed people of the world. No justice, no peace. If there's no justice, there's no peace. Anyways, I hope you like this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.